I promise at the end of this video, you're gonna be able to get that crystal clear water in your aquarium that you've always wanted, whilst at the same time getting your water the healthiest it's ever been for your fish. Stop throwing away your money on useless chemicals to put in your aquarium to clean up cloudy, murky, dirty water. There's a free and easy way to get crystal clear water in your aquarium that the pros know about, and the big box stores and the big corporations that produce products to sell to the hobby don't want you to know about. Well, I'm gonna let you in on a not so little secret. I'm even gonna throw in a pro tip at the end of the video. When we're talking about cloudy or dirty water, we're normally talking about that white milky look, or even sometimes we're talking about debris all over the aquarium. After keeping an aquarium for over 20 years, I've realized there are quick and easy fixes to these very common issues. Not by buying products over and over again just to have the issue pop its ugly head back up after a couple days, having you to put more money into the tank. Understanding why it is that it's happening and correcting the habits that cause these issues in the first place is the way to go. Now let me be clear, all right? It is our habits. It's something that we did or it's something that we failed to do. It's not a big deal. We all go through it, but we're gonna help you out with that. I'm gonna learn you. All right, so here's a skinny. So that cloudy white water that most people are worried about and they're trying to buy products to get rid of, that is called ammonia spike. Some people will call it a bacteria bloom, and that's a little bit more accurate, the bacteria bloom. That cloudy white water normally, in a lot of cases, is a sign of a spike in your ammonia, but I've seen cloudy water without high levels of ammonia, and I've seen perfectly clear water with high levels of ammonia. So a bacteria bloom is, in my opinion, a little bit more accurate. Throughout this video, you're probably going to hear some common phrases like beneficial bacteria, biomedia, bioload, and just keep that in mind. Just you know what I'm saying? When it comes to anything as far as bad bacteria, there's really only one thing to combat it, and that's good bacteria, beneficial bacteria. And the way you want to add beneficial bacteria to your aquarium is by adding media that promotes beneficial bacteria. And beneficial bacteria does not, and while it grows throughout your aquarium, it really attaches itself to structures. Your gravel has beneficial bacteria. That's why you rarely see people with ammonia spikes that have under gravel filters, because it's so much media, so much rocks that can produce this beneficial bacteria, where the water will have to pass through it, and as it passes through this beneficial bacteria, it'll go ahead and destroy, eat up, gobble all that bad bacteria that's causing your cloudy water. So right off the bat, I could have saved this for last because it's like one of the most important. I actually did a video on the nitrogen cycle that you really, I'm stressing that you watch it. Not because I want the views, which I do. I ain't gonna lie to you, it helps. It took me 4 years to be able to circulate that stuff in my head, to be able to prepare something that you guys could absorb. So watch that, and you'll learn so much from it. But don't forget, I still got that secret. So adding biomedia to your filtration is definitely one of the most common and most effective, cost-effective ways of combating bad bacteria, which causes cloudy water. There's one stage in your aquarium where you want to see cloudy water. It's very common it's almost necessary in a lot of times that when you're setting up a new aquarium, the start of your nitrogen cycle starts out with high ammonia levels. So you will see that cloudy water, but it will go away. A lot of times people set up an aquarium for the first time, they'll see that milky cloudy water, they think they did something wrong. No, you are in the first stages of the nitrogen cycle, and you have to let it run its course. If you go and get things, chemicals and additives to disturb that, you're just prolonging the time it takes for this nitrogen cycle to run its course, and that's not good. And you just ain't doing yourself a favor. Another time where cloudy water or murky water or milky water is very common, and I'm going through it myself at this moment, is during large water changes. You're essentially disturbing your bacteria when you do large aquarium cleaning. That's why they tell you to do regular water changes, because when you have to do large ones, it throws it off. Not to worry. All you have to let it do is run its course. That beneficial bacteria needs just a little bit of time, in this particular case when you're doing a large water change, to just go ahead and clean that up. No biggie, just wait it out. Dying plants, driftwood, when it starts to disintegrate, anything that was once alive and is now dead fish and what doo-doo, okay? Doo-doo, when that decays, anything that can decay puts off ammonia. So listen, let me take just a little moment of your time to tell you about www.nosaltbp.org. This is a website ran by a beautiful hearted woman that's all about saving people's lives. She's out there on Skid Row doing selfless acts, helping everyday people who are, many of them are veterans, on her own dime. It's definitely www.nosaltbp.org is a legit charity. So if you want to help her out, there is a donation section there. And it is tax deductible, so you don't have to worry about that. Your money's going to the right place. High blood pressure and heart-related illnesses affects pretty much everybody. Whether you have the issue or not, somebody you know or somebody in your family is dealing with it. The things you learn there could save your life or possibly save the life of someone close to you.
Here on Skid Row, how many people did we feed, Vice President? 75. 75 on Skid Row. No salt BT.
Your aquarium can handle things dying. It's just when things happen quickly, it goes through a off, the levels start throwing off, so it shows itself as cloudy water. Other than that, though, people will say when you have a whole lot of plants in your tank, that's if they all die at once. But if they, plants, leaves die, they fall off. When it happens little by little, not a big deal. If a fish dies, because a fish holds so much protein and mass and organic material, depending on what type of fish it is, that will throw off your levels and show itself as cloudy water. Look, if you had a tank full of neons and one died, and it's like 55 gallons, you're about to get your armpit all wet trying to get it out. General rule is you don't keep no dead fish in the tank. But if I had a whole bunch of stuff in there, snails and all kinds of stuff, yeah, he might stay. And I don't really think it's gonna do anything. It hasn't in my experience. Another thing that can cause cloudy water is overstocking your aquarium. Now, fish do put off enzymes and stuff like that is basically biological material that will decay. But the real problem is all the doo-doo. All that doo-doo falls to the bottom of it, gets in your aquarium filter, and it just dissolves, and it shows up as ammonia or bacterial bloom. So over packing your aquarium can cause that. I'm assuming a lot of you are like me, we want a packed tank, right? I mean, nobody wants a huge tank with just one fish in it, unless it's like a big, stupid, ridiculously big fish. But if you have a community tank, you want a community, right? So I'm not saying you can't overpack a tank. I've done it. I know a lot of people who do it successfully. But when they do that, they add some type of filtration with a very, very high amount of biological filtration. For instance, you can go find an old filter that doesn't have none of the stuff in it. It just has the stuff to run water, go in and go out. And you can get a piece of some pantyhose, put some small pebbles in there from the gravel and put it in the back of there. And all of a sudden you have beneficial bacteria where the water is passing through and it's eating up all that stuff in it. I would probably use something that's a little bit more suited, more porous, like lava rocks that you can buy at Home Depot. You break them up, you put them in some break them up into little pea-sized chunks. Rinse them out, you put them in pantyhose, you put them in the back of an old filter that you add on. Trust me, you will have a whole box full of beneficial bacteria to combat the large amount of fish that you have in the aquarium. When you buy aquarium, right, they always say, this filter is sized for this aquarium. I overfiltrate. Not necessarily because I think it's gonna make my tank cleaner, because as I'm telling you right now, it doesn't really matter on the filter, it matters on what's in the filtration, the biological media that's gonna keep your water crystal clear. A lot of it is for water movement. You'll find that if you look in your aquarium, there are some spots on the gravel where the food just gets washed away, and then other parts of the aquarium where the food just kind of stays there, gathers, and guess what? Dissolves. So water movement will help in that it will push stuff around and not let it settle until it gets to your filter. And then it can be ran through the biological filtration and be dissipated and not cause the issues that you're having. You can find old filters. Someone's gonna throw, as long as it fits on your aquarium and add beneficial bacteria, you good. It's gonna work for you. It's going to work for you. The number one reason that you are having an issue with cloudy water, cloudy white, milky water, murky water, whatever you want to call it. And if you're really honest with yourself, you probably will agree with me that I'm right, that this is what's happening in your case. I have rarely seen a case of murky water, aside from the fact of a nitrogen cycle doing its thing. Other than that, almost every time I come across cloudy, murky, whatever, milky water, it's because of overfeeding, feeding the fish too much. I've done it. I love watching the fish feed. It's the only real interaction I can get with my wet pet, right? And it's hard because they come up to the tank and they just beg and me. And it's hard. It's hard. I know. I keep angels. They stay hungry. but you gotta have some self-control. You don't have to feed your fish every day. A lot of people think you do. They don't need breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can feed your fish every other day. Sometimes every 2 days, depending on your fish, depending on your particular fish. In fact, I would suggest you don't feed your fish every day. And when you do feed them a little bit twice that particular day. Or a very little itty bitty bit every day. Food goes through your fish's digestive system and comes out as what? Doo-doo. That doo-doo is going to just make your water nasty. And it'll come out milky, murky, dirty, whatever you want to call it. And if you have just a regular filter for that size aquarium, it's not going to be able to handle it. I'm not judging, I'm not shaming you. I did it. And there are times where I still overfeed. So you gotta hold back on that food. If they're still, if their bellies are still flat or slightly bulged, you're feeding them just plenty. A fish can go weeks, without being fed. Feed them 3 times a day, a whole bunch. That food, not to mention if they can't eat all that food right away because you fed them too much at one time, that gets down in your gravel and it does what? It decays, turns into more bad bacteria. That's probably your problem. That's more than likely your problem. So that's the number one reason I see. Why the pet stores don't tell you this, I think it's because of 2 reasons. One, it's not really in their favor to tell you this, right? It's not. I mean, if they tell you don't feed every day, what happens? You buy less fish food, you don't buy the aquarium clarifier or whatever the heck it is. The other reason why I think they don't tell you that is because a lot of times these big box stores, the people that are really knowledgeable about fish, a lot of the times they're adults. And if they're adults, they have financial obligations. And unfortunately, those places don't pay enough for an adult to make a living on. So you won't see a lot of people. You'll find young people who really don't know much. They just want to get a part-time job, and God bless them. They should be, it's good for them, right? But they do not take the time to educate these young people on the nitrogen cycle, if they even know about it. And I'm sure their corporate doesn't really want to push that issue. Hey, you need to teach these people how not to buy our products. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Here's the secret that all pro fish keepers, old timers, people who know it for a long time do. And it might surprise you. It might surprise you. I do not know any experienced fish keeper that uses activated carbon / charcoal in their aquariums. It causes more problems than it fixes. Let me explain to you how. When you go to the big box stores, the Petco's, the PetSmarts, stuff like that, that's going to be one of the things they want to sell you as far as how to clean up you need more carbon. Without even talking to you about beneficial bacteria. The problem with carbon is that if you ever use medication, you see where it says remove the carbon, and you think to yourself, oh, if this thing is good enough to clean chemicals out of my water, then obviously it's good enough to clean whatever that white stuff is out of my water. Here's the problem. It may do that. It may do that. It may clear up your water, but the thing that's causing your water to be dirty, it's still happening. All right, it's just being covered up by carbon. I've even heard that, and I don't know this for sure, and I'd like for somebody in the comments to let me know that if you do not change your carbon out when in its regular intervals or whatever that may be, that it actually can capture a lot of bad bacteria in its pores, and it sits there. And it's now at that point, it's just putting bad bacteria into your aquarium instead of cleaning that bad stuff out. That makes sense to me, but I don't know for sure. But at the end of the day, beneficial bacteria is what you need to clean that aquarium. All right, and it's cheap to do. There's a whole lot of DIY things you can get. Those plastic loofahs is beneficial bacteria. And you only have to buy it once. That's a great thing. Sponge filters. You see a lot of pros using sponge. You only have to buy it once. You never have to buy it again. Clean it out, put it back in, bang. And you gotta think, if the pros don't use this carbon that's supposed to work wonders for cleaning your water, why should you? I hope you got some value out of this. I hope it answered your questions. I hope it answered all your questions, actually. That's the goal of this channel, to answer all your questions. Leave a comment. Literally put a question in there for me to answer. Hit the subscribe button if it's your first time here. Hit the notification bell so that you can get notified every time I put something out. And definitely give me a thumbs up. Check it out. The YouTube guys might look kindly on me if all these things happen. I'm going to leave some videos right here that you might be interested in if this is something that you liked.